All right, so we're back to do our second mid-year stream of the trio of topics we cover. This one, of course, being the world of comics. As usual, I'm joined by Peter
Hello.
and Wombat.
Good morning.
And this one's going to be an interesting discussion because, well, to be blunt about it, there's more stories surrounding the world of comics worth talking about than actual releases, which in itself will be a topic at the end, I think. But to get started is, of course, we have to go back into, I think, the shit show that has become Comicsgate. And, of course, Black Flag. Now, the book is 4 years late at this point. As you can see, it was due in September 21. And after random updates and what I assume was many requests for refunds, Dan Frager posted this update in March, which I'll read part of for the listening audience. And he says, as you all know, independent publishing is a labour of passion and dedication. All funds raised for Black Flag were placed in escrow and fully invested in the production, covering art, printing materials, and fulfillment. This ensures that we deliver the high quality book you expect and deserve. Because of this, we are unable to offer refunds at this time. Now, I have never, to the best of my knowledge, I'll say, I've never heard of any of these funds being placed in escrow. And my bullshit meter goes very near the scale end when I see that word. What do you guys make of this?
Yeah, my bullshit meter's going off pretty hard too. I'm like, it's in escrow. Great, then get it out of escrow. Right? Again, if you're the one who's that in escrow, the term in escrow means that you've put it in a fund, like that's controlled by a third party and it's subject to legal shit or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I ain't buying it.
No.
Right? Yeah. So you can't, you can't put something in escrow and then unilaterally take it out.
No.
Sorry, you can't. It's so either someone's done legal stuff and he's gone, oh well, I've had to put it in escrow due to that, or more than likely it's just
He's full of shit.
He's full of shit.
Yeah. I mean, I should remind everyone that of his $5,000 US goal, he pulled in almost 230 grand. And again, this is one that I'm so glad that I never backed, because it's another example of these, let's quote unquote, high profile creators taking the money, talking plenty of shit, but not delivering.
That's also a running problem now, where Indiegogo have clearly fallen off the bandwagon when it comes to them pursuing people who weren't fulfilling their promises.
Mm-hmm.
And weren't fulfilling like actually doing proper fulfillment on anything they basically finished a campaign with within a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah. And I know Frager, like some of the other creators, has acclaimed medical issues have slowed him down and all that in the past. And while I sympathise with that to an extent, honestly, I just don't give a shit now. Your book's this late, and okay, you've had medical issues. It's 4 years late. You should have got this done by now.
And if the medical issues were so bad, you should have basically gone, okay, I'm going to return the funds and try again another time.
So that's one that has, of course, helped put people off crowdfunding, I think. I know I certainly have.
Oh, it's a multitude of things that put people off crowdfunding, because this is not just comics. It's like this has become a problem prevalent in anything crowdfunded.
Oh,
to
yeah.
the point that a lot of people just like, nah, I've been burned so many times at this point, and there's been so many people who've been shysters who've just run off with the money. It's just like, not doing it anymore.
Yeah, and that leads in perfectly to the next example, and that's the Death Raider comic. Now, we're talking about this one because it literally came up, I believe, last week, because of all the updates posted. This came along, which again I will read for the listening audience, or part of it anyway. And it's called Saving the Death Raider comic, and the creator writes, Death Raider campaign was such a financial disaster. I pissed away my savings and 3 years of my life. I could have been doing anything else. Crowdfunding is nearly dead, in brackets, yes, because twats like you killed it. My peers' campaign totals drop with every new release. I have left comic books for good and now have a very low-paying job in manufacturing, which is still higher than was my livelihood crowdfunding, which is below the poverty line.
Oh God!
Well,
No,
yeah.
no, dude, I might cry me. Oh, like
Yeah.
Cry me a fucking river.
Yeah,
just
let
you know
me-
the episode of South Park where Cartman's playing the sad violin.
Yeah.
That's just going on in my head at the moment.
Yeah, and then it continues. Why should you care? The point of crowdfunding, in theory, is it covers my bills while I work and promote the project. Yeah, this never happened. It was my savings and freelance work that carried Death Raider through the campaign. Yet I still want to deliver to the few fans that support this amazing project. Where does that leave the book? Either I come up with some sort of compromise with my debtors and the book ships in the fall of 2025, or it's bankruptcy and the printing and shipping funds are confiscated.
I got 2 words: skill issue.
Not the 2 words I was going to say. My
Project management.
Yep. Again, look. Yeah,
Yeah.
look at the name.
yeah,
It's project management skill issue.
But it's
Yeah.
also a case of, dude, the funds for this were not to pay for your lifestyle.
No.
They were to pay for the development, the completion, printing, and distribution
yeah.
of this
I
book.
mean, my 2 words when I read this update was "fuck you." First of
Yeah, that
all,
too.
first of all, because I nearly backed this. I was looking at it at the time because he was constantly on Twitter. I'm not calling it X,
Yep.
shilling the book. By the way, for those who don't know, he has since nuked his Twitter account. He's gone. And
Mhm.
he was still calling for donations. And I said to him, your book's already late and you're still calling for donations. And I can't remember the exact words that he said, but he basically said it will happen still. And he encouraged me to back it. And I'd looked at him and thought, it looks cool, but no thanks. And I'm just trying to show the perks here if it will let me. But no, it doesn't look like it will.
No, it's
Let's
locked
go.
down. So.
Yeah, let's go. Story. Can I do that? Continue reading. There we go. This should have been out February 2025. Fuck off. That's not happening. How well what you said. So there's 2023.
There you go, Octa 23.
Yeah, 2023. So he's almost 2 years late now. Yeah, bullshit. Now, the thing is, the discussion would end there, but a clip resurfaced from a stream he was on that was published to Twitter. I'm just going to bring it up here because, well, you'll hear what he says. And for those listening, those watching, he's the guy at the bottom. I think he's the one you hear speaking first.
It almost sounds like we're rap stars. If the money shows up, I'll be there. And then you're like, the money shows up to pay the mortgage and buy groceries. Oh, wait, doesn't sound so rap starry.
No, it's true
this
though.
sounds
I mean, the
like
more
rap-
money that comes in, the more time you can put into it, the better the
Yeah.
comics will be. It's just going to be a better quality industry. Period.
well,
overall,
I'm retarded. You know, even the bare minimum comes in. I'm still spending way too long on the pages. Well, I mean, that's why you should back.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Again, did not age very well. And
Like, dude, no, this is not about your mortgage. This is not about your lifestyle. This is about producing a product that you've been paid for.
yeah. And again, it's now a further stain on crowdfunded comics. And as I said previously, yes, he's right. Projects are taking less and less nowadays because pricks like him helped kill it.
Because you got overbloated donations, and in the end, you produced jack of all.
Oh,
Again, I'm just working in the industry I do. I am just skill issue.
yeah.
Right. This is again. If anyone wants to, anyone who has an interest in project management, there is a fantastic blog to look up. Why projects fail.
Mm-hmm.
And yep, these guys keep ticking all those boxes, right?
Yeah.
Of why projects fail. And the blog's aimed at sort of the really big industry projects, but it's always the same causes regardless of scale.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, nope, the skill issue.
Yeah.
It's entirely on you for the fact that you've As you just said there, and you said there, and yes, you outed yourself as you saw this as a lovely little slush fund that you could do with whatever you want while you putted around and made this comic. And oh shit, that's right, you needed all that money to actually produce it.
Yeah. And again, this will have a knock-on effect for others, I feel. But
Well, again, at
Already
this
has.
point, it's not just comics.
Yeah.
Crowdfunding in general has kind of died off for a number of reasons. One is oversight. There's just at this point, successful crowdfunded projects are an exception, not the rule. People have just seen so many of these ones. Whoever was doing it basically took the money and ran. The crowdfunding platforms pretty much dropped any pretense of oversight and enforcing people to actually do what they promised. And not to mention economic factors now, people just don't have the spare money, right?
No.
And, back when this all started, people had spare money to do stuff. Now everyone's tightening their belts just due to, normal economic factors. There's just not the spare money anymore, so people aren't doing it.
No. But I mean, there are successes out there. And one in particular that has really blown up as of late is the Saints and Sinners Rippaverse anthology, which has launched. Well, it's still in a pre-order at the moment, but boasting stories by several prominent YouTubers and authors, such as Will Jordan, who is the Critical Drinker himself. It has crossed over $300,000 in sales. Now, this would normally be the case. Sorry?
Do you know what the difference is? Why this is working?
Go on.
Because the comic's already made.
Yes.
This is financing to figure out how many people want it.
Yeah.
And doing the final run of, okay, how many people want it? So thus we know how many to send to print plus extras and for sending them out.
Now, originally, I was late on the train to the Rippaverse stuff because I'd been burned by so many CG crap. But now I'm quite the fan of it because at least I know that when I back something, I'm going to get the fucking book on time. But it's annoying for me to watch, especially just as a customer, I suppose. But anyone associated with Rippaverse are routinely attacked online. And I look at it and think, why are you doing this? I'm naively, I suppose. I'm thinking, surely this should be celebrated. But am I wrong in saying this is crabs in a bucket mentality?
Not in the slightest.
That's entirely what it is.
That is exactly what it is. So,
And all these people are showing their levels of maturity, which a lot of them is a case of you never left high school.
Yeah. But I mean, so we've got stories by Heels versus Babyface, Jay David, obviously Eric July, Callum Edwards, who I believe is Mauler, the Soska sisters, Will Jordan. There's some different covers, which, okay, cool. I don't mind variant covers because at least they're keeping it to a reasonable amount.
I'm actually impressed they got the Soska sisters.
Oh yeah,
He's worked with the Soska sisters before.
Yeah, even then, right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how it came about, but Yaira was the first book of theirs I backed because I thought, okay, this looks quite intriguing, and I enjoyed it. If there were issues with the book, I didn't spot them, and to be honest with you, I don't give a shit either way, because I think I can't remember when it was I backed it that year, but I got it like 4 months later, and I remember getting it and thinking, fucking hell, that was quick. So I really hope that the Rippaverse enjoys continued success.
Yeah, I said I've got nothing but yeah,
they will
because they're actually delivering what they
because Eric July actually knows project management. He came in with an understanding and knowledge of project management from his own background.
Yeah,
Hence why even with his first comic, he was already starting off on a good foot because he worked on the basis of the comic's done. I just need to, this is my funding thing is just to figure out how many people actually would be interested in buying this book. So then I can basically sort things out with the printers and figure out my distribution network and start establishing it, which he's established now. And yeah, he did run into, I think it was his first or the second, I think it might have been the second comic, he ran into a problem with the publisher making a massive screw up, and he had to scramble to find a new publisher and printer, but he made sure to keep everyone in the loop. And even then, he was maybe, I think, 2 months late by the time he scrambled and basically made new deals and sorted out with a new printer and
But the thing is,
fast
but
tracked
the
it through. So he had to pay out from his own
Yeah.
pocket to fast track it.
Yeah.
But
He
the
still
thing
got
is,
it out to
during,
people.
and also during that whole scramble, he was keeping everyone informed as to what was going on. He
Yeah.
wasn't bullshitting them. He wasn't fluffing about stuff being in escrow. It's, here's the problem we run into. Right. Here's what we're doing to fix it. Please be patient. And the thing is, if you're active, if you're truthful and honest in your communications, stuff happens. The fans will be like, fine, perfectly reasonable. And the trust is there. And again, if you keep delivering and you're like, these things happen, it's not a problem. As a side note, if any comic professionals or anyone who's looking at this, doing this sort of stuff, wants some project management basic training, just DM me on Twitter at Project Wombat.
Yep.
Not hard. I will more than happy give an hour of my time free to give you some basics of project management, things like scope, figuring out what you're doing, figuring out your timelines, figuring out your cost. I can give you the project management 101 in an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And I would, again, more than happy to give an hour of free time to help people succeed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also why Riververse is working, because now that he's established he's got his established printer and he's apparently set up with a secondary backup one for overflow should the first one run into problems.
Mm-hmm.
He's got set up his distribution network. He's got set up a literal people that this. All they do is packing and sending out. Because he was initially doing that himself with a few other people, but now he's actually got people hired in to do that. So he's got his network set. Hence why he can keep the prices as they are, and what he promises you get. Because he's also working on the basis of no comic goes up here to say it's ready for pre-order.
Yeah.
That's not already finished.
Mm.
So none of this bullshit of it's maybe like 10% done and I need all this funding to finish the rest of it, or I haven't even started yet.
All right. So on to the next one, and this is kind of really a shout out to a friend of mine whose work I've backed, and that's the Mythicals. Issue 3 finally closed out 5 days ago, as the thing he says. He raised $5,000, just over $5,000 of the 1,000 total he needed. It's one of the few books I've actually backed outside of CG that I got on time. I think issue 3 was a couple of months late, but that was due to an issue one of his staff had. I forget what it was now. But his communication's been great. The books have been fun to read. I can't wait to the next one. And like I said, it's one of the few that I've had no regrets backing because he delivers on his work.
And that's the trick.
Yeah.
It's like, even if you have issues, it's like, yes, okay, you had issues. That may knock you back like months, 2 months, 3 months, not years.
No. But then we have, outside of the whole thing, just regular folks doing the work. And one of them is a former industry artist. He was with Image for a while before he went on his own. And that's Josh Howard. So the first one he did that came to my attention was Black Harvest. And sadly, I missed it on Kickstarter. And I remember commenting on it because he randomly appeared on my feed. And I said, shit, I wish I'd got this because it looked pretty cool. And thankfully, he had overprinted a little and he sold me a copy. And I got it very, very quickly. And it's a fantastic book. It's obviously a remaster of his old series. But again, as you see here, $5,000 goal, which is pretty modest, I think. And he got almost 20. And I think in part that's down to the fact his art is absolutely killer. It really is.
Wasn't he T-Bird and Throttle as well?
He was, yes. That's
yes.
And the thing is, that's where I recognised him from because I'd not backed a lot of stuff because of a lot of the lateness and all that. But yes, he did T-Bird and Throttle, and he's also recently started the Kickstarter for this, the revival of Dead at 17, which was the series that originally put him on the map. Now, $3,715. Well, that's pounds, isn't it? Of course, fucking idiot. Pounds, I should say, because it's on the British site. But he's raised just over $13,000, almost 14, and he's still got 14 days to go. And again, I have no problem backing stuff like this because at least I know I'm going to get it in a reasonable amount of time. And for the way he behaves on social media, Howard just randomly posts updates and bits of art he's done. He doesn't get involved in any shit. He doesn't get involved in the arguments. He just posts his updates and keeps to himself.
Yeah,
And that is what you want to see.
Yes. And he's got a very nicely designed web store where you can get T-Bird and Throttle and other stuff of his, I should point out. And I'm probably going to end up buying a copy of that because, again, I'm kind of pissed that I missed it. But given how I've been burned at the time, I'm not surprised, I suppose.
Yeah, it's like it's a case of yes, you were burned at the time, but now you know better. Especially with him, you know now he's worth it, so it's no problem to go and go. Yeah, I'll buy what you've got now.
Yeah, I'm even going to try and see if I can get him to talk on the stream one day, just to talk about his art and stuff. Hopefully he does, but I'll understand totally if he doesn't, because again, he seems to be one of the few professionals that's actually doing his job.
Yeah,
and
not
respect
all
him for
people
that.
and not all creative people are up for even just in general chatting on streams.
No, I get that totally. And again, like I said, I'll consider myself lucky if I do get him on, but if you don't, fair play. You carry on, mate. Don't let me interrupt you. All right, so on to some of the stories surrounding the world of comics now, mainstream comics, I should say. And the first one that came to my attention was the issues surrounding IDW, because obviously they haven't seen the best of times lately. And and one of their former executives, David Ozer, was sentenced in an embezzlement case.
Imagine my shock.
Yeah, there he is on the left of this picture. Embezzlement, extortion, a non-existent graphic novel. This one has it all. Yes, the producer, formerly IDW Entertainment president, was sentenced to 18 months in prison after being convicted of fraud and embezzlement, which he pled guilty to 2 counts of. He embezzled over $210,000 meant for an upcoming Supernatural thriller. He stole $200,000 from investors. Yeah. It's not surprising that company is going down the pan as quick as what it is.
It's been going down the pan for a good 5 years.
Yeah.
But that again, if the fact that he could embezzle stuff says that they've got internal governance issues in terms of tracking their money and figuring all that stuff out. So they've
had that problem for a long time.
Skill issue.
Yeah, they've had I think in the last 3 or 4 years, actually a bit longer, I think, they've had a lot of investors going, explain where the fuck our money's going because we're not seeing any turnaround or results from it.
Yeah.
And they've lost quite a few investors, they've lost quite a few advertisers, and they've basically been in like increasingly deep debt for a long time now. So I'm surprised they haven't just folded and could declare full bankruptcy at this point and just called it a day. But now I see why the likes of him in charge.
Yeah. Now, obviously, it's funny you should mention debt and bankruptcy because it goes nicely into the next story, which is, of course, the bankruptcy and emerging from bankruptcy that Aftershock Comics are going through. Now, Aftershock, I noticed that they kind of just dropped off the map. I had read one of their series, Animosity, and it was actually pretty good. But yeah, then everything went quiet. And it turned out that, yes, they had filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in late 2022 amidst the usual messy debts and unpaid creators. But now they apparently have submitted a plan to come back. And
okay, so I just want to explain for everyone who's listening who doesn't understand the difference. US bankruptcy is weird.
Yeah.
So in the US, Chapter 11 means that you are essentially going, hey, we want to restructure the company, restructure our debts, and then, continue doing what we are doing, right? So Chapter 11 is and again, it kind of gets abused in the US where and that's why you see the big airlines or other companies do this on a regular basis, where they'll file Chapter 11. Basically, it means, hey, we think this is a viable company, but we need to restructure all the debt, drop a whole heap of unnecessary debt, and then, get an injection of cash and open up again. Chapter 13 is liquidate everything and put the company directors up against a wall. So you see a lot of chapters. The fact they've gone into Chapter 11 it means that someone with some economic nous has looked at their company and gone, yeah, okay, this is viable. It's just that, it was badly run or whatever else, or, lightning hit your business. So, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Now, obviously, not everyone was apparently happy about this. And one of them was creator Zach Thompson, who posted about it on Blue Sky. I hope you're having fun over there. Heard Aftershock has emerged from their bankruptcy. Just want folks to know that you'll never see my name on another book with them. I've made it clear that the only way the Brother of All Men finishes if the rights return to the creative team, he wrote, adding, also, any creator who is approached by Aftershock, I'm happy to talk candidly with you about my experience with them. If I can prevent what happened to me and my co-creators from ever happening to even one other person, it'll be worth it. Okay.
Yeah, that's basically going, I got screwed over. That's a thing is, it depends on who's the big thing for Aftershock would be have a look at the management, right?
Yeah.
So if they've gone into Chapter 11 restructured, but they have the same management team in place, then don't trust them as far as you can throw them.
Nope.
If they've completely gutted the directors and completely changed the management team, yeah, again, take them with a grain of salt, but depends. Again, it's one of those things. It's basically when a company does a Chapter 11 like this, it's either single, do it once. Yeah, okay, you may have just had adverse economic conditions, blah 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 blah, but yeah, still, it's always, be very very wary of them.
Yeah.
It's interesting in that article, the next line was literally a case of if you ever get handed a contract, always take it to a lawyer to get reviewed before you sign it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Again, I think there's one thing I think I need to pin on my Twitter, which is Mike. This is a guy called Mike Montero, and before he got Trump derangement syndrome, he did a fantastic training video called "Fuck You, Pay Me."
Yeah.
And it is specifically aimed at creatives. It's sort of web creatives, but it works for all creatives about how to do the business side of being a creative. And it's just a fantastic little 5-minute speech about how not to get screwed by people.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely worth a watch for anyone who is a creative. That again, if you're doing a creative, I get that you want to just focus on your creative stuff, but at the end of the day, the problem is you also need to be have a working knowledge of business.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you are going to get screwed.
Yeah.
And the fact that was in that next line of that article says that there were some lightly bodgy contracts that people signed.
Mm-hmm. All right. So on to one of the sadder stories that we've had this year in the world of comics. We lost Peter David. And it's a sad death in part because obviously he was one of the more revered creators in comics, especially Marvel. His run on Incredible Hulk was stuff of legends. But it's also sad in the sense that this guy died from a lot of medical debt, which really he shouldn't have had to deal with, because realistically, if anyone gave a toss about him in the world of comics in Marvel management, he really shouldn't have had to pay for this stuff.
Yeah, but again, this is the really sad thing when it comes to the business side of stuff, right? It's at the end of the day, it's business. Yeah. And again, this is why you need really good contracts for things like residuals and the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't get screwed.
Even then, Marvel Marvel and DC both have been, Marvel more so than DC really, have been notorious for even people who've locked it down as tighter than a duck's bum when it comes to residuals, them still refusing to pay.
Yeah.
And finding weasel ways to pay them cents on the dollar or nothing at all, and having to repeatedly take them to court to get what they're owed.
Mm-hmm. And as you can see, a GoFundMe was set up to help pay for his medical debt. I mean, There's obviously the link's not there anymore, sadly.
Mm.
But he'd been in recovery for 3 years. It's a shame. We lost a great one. Again, his run on the Incredible Hulk. Yeah. Is this working now?
Oh,
No, it's gone. That's a shame. Yeah, it's
what
a shame.
the irony is like Marvel's just like, oh yes, we remember him. Here's us pandering out all those wonderful covers and everything he did. Like, fuck you fucking fools.
Yeah.
You didn't give a flying fuck about him, but now he's dead. You're going to go, oh yes, oh he was so wonderful. We were greatest friends. Blah, blah, blah. Like, fuck it.
Yeah, it was a repulsive thing to see. As the article says, he is survived by his wife Kathleen and his daughters Ariel, Shanna, Gwen, and Caroline. Commiserations to his family. May he rest in peace, but he leaves behind a body of work that will not be forgotten. And it is a real shame. But then we switch to one of the darker stories to come out of the world of comics, and well, Neil Gaiman. Now, I'll say this: we've talked about this before. The ones that shout about these causes, the male feminists, were always the ones to watch, and it's been proven again.
Empty barrels make the most noise.
Yeah. And a number of women have come forward to accuse him of sexual assault since the original allegation.
Which happens every time.
9 women in total, of course, have accused him of, and I quote, sexual misconduct, and allegations have been leveled against his ex-wife of human trafficking and negligence.
Okay, so while I really dislike defending Neil Gaiman, and again, the stuff that came out, it was pretty skeevy, but at the same time, he hasn't done anything illegal, and this just comes back. A lot of this just comes back to sour grapes, I think. It's just like you had groupies shagging their idol. Okay, what did you think was going to happen, right? So yeah, this kind of, again, it's one of those ones where it's kind of no good actors in this story.
No. I mean, Gaiman has denied. Go on, sorry.
I'll give it to the girls that it's made a case of, yes, there was likely cases where he took advantage of you and took things well beyond what you'd agreed to. But that was something to address back when it happened, especially if you went from, oh, I'm just going to do something like little minor thing, and he's gone full blow, like crossed the line and crossed the line and left the fucking planet on boundary crossing and doing something that hurt you. And actually actively done something that's traumatized and hurt them. But it's like, that's when you've gone to the cops then if he really did hurt you. Versus saying nothing, doing nothing, and jumping on the bandwagon once someone else says something and going for the grab bag.
I mean, I have to point this out in state of fairness. Gaiman has denied the claims, and the ex-wife has said she is, and I quote, profoundly disturbed by the claims. He asked the judge to throw out the civil lawsuit filed against him by Scarlett Pavlovich, his former nanny, and called her a fantasist. He also responded to the other claims, saying there were moments I half recognize and moments I don't. And he also stated he could have done so much better and was trying to do the work needed. Fuck off.
The work. There it is. Again, anyone who follows Kershaw, he used the phrase, he used the activation, the work. Right? Like, no, that Neil, that's basically saying, you were doing, skeevy stuff, rada. Okay, for anyone who doesn't know, the wife they're referring to used to front the band, the Dresden Dolls. What I suggest is one of the more famous songs she did was Coin Operated Boy. There is an alternate lyric in Coin Operated Boy, where she sort of says, "Oh, I can take him in the bath." There's an alternate lyric if you look up the alternate track of "I can take him in the back end." Okay. Right? She was with Gaiman when she wrote that. So I'm just like, okay, someone likes getting pegged. But yeah, she's just as kink as he is. But yeah, I think this is just sour grapes from groupies in a lot of cases. But even then, Gaiman, yeah, he's just a famous guy, like abusing, oh, look, I'm famous, therefore I can, do whatever I like with, having girls throwing themselves at me, blah, blah, blah. And
Yeah. Now, it's also, since the allegations arose, Gaiman has been dropped by numerous companies he was working with, such as Dark Horse, Disney, Amazon, Netflix,
yeah, but the thing
and
is,
even his own agent.
Yeah, but the thing is, at this point, Gaiman's how old? Like, Gaiman has fuck you money, right? They can drop him all, and it's like, yeah, he's just going to sit there with all these, all his residuals and everything else, and, can line his pile of money and cry himself to sleep for, it's just one of those things. It's like, yeah, they've all dropped him because it's like, it's not like he's doing anything these days.
No.
So, again, it's just like, okay, you dropped him. Yeah, and? Right? So, it's they've already, pretty much milked him for all his IP.
Mhm.
They've done the Sandman TC. They bought all the rights of all the things off him. And it's like he's probably just, said to his agent, "Yeah, you can drop me. I don't care." It's just like, because again, he's pretty much retired at this point.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's like, oh, we again, it's virtue signaling by his agent and co as well. Oh, see, we got rid of him. I'm like, yeah, he's retired anyway, right? I don't think he's going to be producing any groundbreaking, new works at, however.
And you can't deny him his residuals, so
Yeah.
it's performative.
Yeah.
So, obviously, at the start of the stream, I said that there was not much to talk about release-wise that I felt was worth it. And, well, those words are true. But there was one release from DC Comics this year, which had to be seen to be believed. And I know, Peter, you're quite a fan of this one. And that is, of course, Harley Quinn Fartacular, the silent but deadly #1, a scratch and sniff comic. So if you wanted to know what Harley Quinn's farts smell like, well, this was a comic for you.
Disgust.jpg.
Yeah. All for $8, I believe it was.
The artist and creators not even remotely potent fetish.
Yeah. Honestly, I saw this and I'm
Disgust.jpg.
I mean, I love the fact that the credits are listed under talent. I mean, really?
And they want $8 fucking bucks for that slab of disgusting fetish porn.
Yeah. But I mean,
and the sad thing is, people bought it.
But don't put it into mainstream shit. Keep it to your little corners of the internet.
Yeah. But again, what do you even say about this? I mean,
this is why you don't let Tumblr artists make things.
No.
This is why you don't let Tumblr people and the wokeists even get involved in comics at any level.
I mean, art by Brandon Steen. I've never heard of him. And the writer, Joanne Stera, never heard of her either.
Of course you haven't, because they're nobodies.
No, I mean,
they're nobodies who knew the right people to weasel their way in and get this thing made and make it absolute.
Yeah, and lol, it would be so funny to do this. Oh, we get to, again, this is a whole, we get to shit on the fan, the original Batman fans.
Yeah, and I mean, again, I honestly, I'm just so lost for words.
It's also a punishment in the case of, you find Harley Quinn attractive, you think she's sexy, you think she's hot. How do you bat now?
Yeah.
It's basically humiliating the fans, sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, if you bought this, well, good for you, I guess.
If you bought this, you should be on a list.
Yeah. I mean, again,
you probably are on a list.
Again, I was quite frankly stunned when I saw it. But again, if that's your thing, rock and roll. Who am I to criticize you?
That's the point I'm making.
No, I will criticize you.
Yeah.
Cool. Whatever finishes you have, fine. But keep them out of mainstream production stuff.
In this case, this
fucking comics.
This fetish is not fine, and I am. Don't kink shame. Oh no, I am kink shaming.
Right, so onto the Marvel side of things, and I mean, there are plenty of ongoing series this year, but there wasn't really that much worth talking about that has been released. The best I could do for this stream was to talk about 2 announcements for issues coming up later in the year, which I've no doubt will cover. And this first one, it kind of smacks of a bit of desperation to me. And that is, of course, the return of the Marvel Swimsuit Special. Now, we haven't had one of these in a long time, as far as I'm aware. And yeah, okay, the artwork was cool, and I suppose it was just to showcase good art and sexy characters. But again, the sexy characters kind of thing was killed off, as far as I'm aware. So I think this was brought back because I think Marvel, or someone at Marvel, is starting to realize that you kind of need money and sales in order to keep going. I mean,
Yeah, even then, I'm looking at that art. I'm just like, meh.
Yeah, I mean, this is the art, I believe, by Adam Hughes, who is
Yeah, even then, just
still
like,
going.
meh.
But you get variant covers by Mark Brooks, Torrin Clark, and Russell Dortman. I know.
Yeah, but hang on. Here's my take on it. This is safe sexy,
Yes.
right? This is approved by the Rainbow Hair crowd. Safe sexy.
Mhm.
It's boring, right?
Also, too little, too late by
Yeah.
about a decade or more. And you just know, it's like, yes, sexy cover. Same slop inside,
Yeah.
with all the sex appeal removed.
I'm just looking for the release date. Oh yeah, on sale. So that's the 9th of the 7th. So
Next month.
yeah, next month. Okay, cool. But I sort of, again, I look at it and think it kind of smacks of desperation to me.
Because it is.
Yeah. And I'll be interested to see what they charge for it. Does it say on here?
Can't they charge
no.
something stupid for like what? That's not even worth it. Because like even that Harley Quinn one, $8 for a fluffy comic. Fuck off.
But it was 40 pages.
Fuck off.
Yeah.
I reiterate. Fuck off.
And the other announcement, this one kind of made me chuckle when I saw it, was the fact that, they're bringing back the Punisher. Frank Castle Punisher, I
it's
should
current
say.
year Punisher.
Well, this is the funny thing. It's part of the Red Band line from Marvel, which means increased blood and gore, sold in a sealed poly bag, because obviously you can't have the kids reading it.
Wank.
And let's see, it's a 5-issue miniseries written by Benjamin Percy and artist Julius Otter, neither of which I've heard of.
Mm-hmm.
And I like this bit here. With no memories, a full clip, and a thirst for wrath or vengeance. I thought, well, if he hasn't got any memories, what vengeance is he seeking?
Exactly.
Yeah, so this is going to be current year Punisher.
Yeah.
Because didn't we already see things where it's like, oh, he's going to go after the police? I'm like, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
Right, there it is. Oh, this is what concerns me. It's a Punisher reboot in current year with Trump in office. So it's going to be political bullshit. Punisher's going to go after essentially various cardboard cutouts of Trump, etc.
Yeah.
It's not going to be good.
No.
And I was like, even me, who's never been a big Punisher fan, knows plenty enough that yes, he went after cops, but corrupt cops.
Yeah.
Not just cops in general. He went after pointedly corrupt people, murderers, rapists, like pedos, you name it. And he didn't give a flying fuck who they were. It was more a case of, because of your corrupt and your positions you're in, no one else can get to you, but I can.
Yeah. But again, it goes back to that question: what vengeance is he seeking? Who's he going after?
Exactly.
If he's got no memories, that's what bugged me the most about it. And I was a fan of early Punisher. I mean, I didn't collect the whole series because there was a lot of them, but I remember that mini series they did where Jason Aaron basically destroyed the backstory and made him an abuser and everything else, and brought his dead wife back to chastise him for all the things he'd done. And I just thought, how can you come back from that?
You can't, as they're proving.
So, because at the end of the series, he's kind of zapped into a different dimension where he's leading a bunch of kids to safety, carrying an axe. And it's like, well, how are you going to get out of that corner you've written yourself into?
They're not.
No,
That's a proven point with this. And also, it shits me as case of Punisher sat in the shelves perfectly fine with everything else. And I've read 2 Punisher comics from way back when I was in school and I had a group of friends where we'd basically lay all our comics out on the table in the library and share them around during lunch breaks.
Yeah,
Read.
yeah. I remember reading
And-
a lot of the old school Marvel ones written by
and
Chuck
it's like
Dixon.
I can remember that was violent and fairly bloody and gory, and like
Mhm.
now you're basically being absolute pussies in that sat on the shelves with everything else way back when. Now you're going, ooh, we have to package it up and go, oh, it's R-rated because it's a bit bloody.
Yeah.
Like, oh, piss off.
Yeah. So I honestly don't know how they're going to pull this one off. And
It's like that's like they're going for the effect of, ooh, but it's so titillating. Ooh, you're gonna want to buy this because it's R-rated. Like, fuck off.
yeah,
This is not going to work the way you think it is. It's actually going to make people look at you and going, really? You're really treating us, most of the people who used to read your comics since we were children,
hmm
as babies when we were reading this shit we really shouldn't have been way back
Yeah.
when.
So, like I said at the start stream, there really wasn't much releases worth talking about this year so far. I mean, I've been collecting a couple of series, and they have been fun, but it's stuff we've covered before, and I'm not really aware of anything like groundbreaking that came out. The only major storyline that I'm aware of at the time of this recording was that they decided to do Batman Hush 2, another, I think, 12-issue story in the main series. Again, written by Jeff Loeb and penciled by Jim Lee, which is always cool. It's nice to see Jim Lee still drawing. But I have seen no fuss over it since it's been released. A couple of stories maybe, but it's sort of hit with a bit meh. And with Marvel stuff, okay, I'm still reading the Ultimate Spider-Man story, and it is damn good. But again, nothing else out there that's really worth talking about. And that kind of worries me, especially as we've talked about previously, the economic issues that everyone's facing. Marvel and DC especially need sales now.
That's
Yeah.
because
Mm.
this is what happens when for basically years on end, and we're reaching that point now. It's a case of before we'd go to all these terrible comics, we'll talk about them, how terrible they are. It's just like every single one of them is meh or terrible to the point that it's like apathy.
Yes.
People have reached the point of apathy where it's a case of I don't even care to know anything about the egregiously bad ones. It's like Harley Quinn one was particularly stuck out, but there's so many others that are egregiously bad. But it's like, oh, another one. I'm digging, I'm trying to find a care, I'm trying to find a reason to even think about it beyond, oh, it's another like floppy turd that's been dumped onto a piece of paper.
Hmm.
Can't find anything. Because why do I care when they clearly don't?
Yeah. I mean, at the time of this, I'm collecting Transformers, the IDW series, and it's going great. I enjoy it a lot. The Ultimate Spider-Man, which has given fans the version of Spider-Man that they want, i.e. married to Mary Jane with 2 kids. I'm about to drop the Terminator series because honestly it's dull and boring. And the Absolute Batman series has been okay so far. Nothing fantastic. So I don't know if I'm even going to keep hold of that.
And that's the problem. And
yeah.
that's the problem. It's like there's nothing that's cases, there's no more engaging stories, there's no more engaging storylines. Like you can have the most glorious art there has ever been made by man.
Yeah.
But if the story is half-assed and well, shit,
Yeah.
it's got nothing in it that keeps your attention, then that means nothing. So I've said in the past, it's like I've had some comics I've collected in the past that have been one-shots, and it's like art's been a bit scuff
Mhm.
or like bad in some cases, but I've kept them and read them because the story and the characters otherwise was actually really good.
Yeah.
So all these things, this case, if you can have like all the art in the world's not going to save something when there's no story to read.
No. One about you was about to say something?
Well, I'm of the opinion that these IPs are all played out. Like, how
Yes,
many
yes.
times can you rehash or, oh, we're taking a different angles? I'm like, there's only so many angles in the universe. And all these, I'm like, people are just done. It's just like, yeah, it's just reboot after reboot after rehash after reboot. right? And the problem is that the well where all the unique and new stuff used to come from is kind of, either being suppressed or, it's just not there anymore. There's no pipeline for these new creators.
No.
And, we, as much as we were talking about the crowdfunding stuff, all the bad actors have just kind of ruined it for all the good ones. So, it's one of those things of I'm of the opinion, just go off and do something else for a while.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I've been more excited, excuse me, for the crowdfunded stuff, especially like I said from Josh Howard, than anything else that's coming out. I mean, I've got a massive pile of stuff to read, but again, I'm not in any rush to sort it out. I'm just, apathy has well and truly set in, and it really bothers
And Marvel and DC are not going to be able to climb out of this hole of apathy, because every chance they've had of late, especially in the last 15, 20 years, to spark a new appetite of a new generation of people, and even spark the appetite of people who may not have been reading comics before.
me. Mm-hmm.
They've had the movies be a success, and people are going, "Ooh, this is based on a comic. I wonder what the comics are like." Go to see the comics, like, ugh, dead. Like any appetite they'd started with of not potentially getting new audience, new readers, new that, it's just like they killed it at the very beginning. As soon as they walk in a comic shop, going, "Oh, I saw that Spider-Man movie. It was great. What comics you got of Spider-Man?" They point to it and they open pick one up, open it, start flicking through, and go, put it back, walk out, and never come back again.
Yeah, and I should also point out that we have discussed sales a couple of times on this stream. Comic book sales aren't listed anymore, which I think is very telling.
I wonder why.
Yeah, which is very telling in itself. Because I'd be curious to know the numbers, but obviously, well, they think otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
Well, considering how many comic stores, even ones that have been around for decades, are up and dying.
Yeah.
Because they're getting bulks full of shit that they can't sell, they can't return it, they can't get any return, like they can't even get cents on the dollar back to try and recoup something, because they're being fucked over, and Diamond's gone tits up as well to add to that. So distribution system shot. And so that's why they got no numbers, because all these stores are dying, and any numbers, and basically they were constantly having that complaint for years now of the whole, "I ordered 5 of this comic. Why'd you give me 50? I can't sell this.
Mm.
Why are you making me pay for 50?
And why are you making me pay for all this where I can't sell it?" And the only comic book stores now that are surviving are the ones that are pivoting to manga to fill the gap.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the other big elephant in the room, is that people have alternatives.
Yes.
Right? And people are picking up manga. Like, again, why we take Western comics. Stories are boring. They're just rehash, reboot, various slop type things. It's just like, well, people are going, yeah, but manga has new and interesting, and, look at the sheer number of, there's literally, if you're into a subject, there is a manga about it.
Yeah.
Right? It's that level of variety. People are just going, great. Again, was it with people going, I don't care about golf, but someone recommended me a manga about golf and I can't put it down.
Yeah,
right?
It's a while ago, a guy who's
golf
basically
for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, as a guy I used to follow on YouTube, and he basically was talking about the whole mess that comics are turning into, because he was an old school comic fan, but he'd long since fallen off.
Yeah.
And he basically had someone he's like he'd had the whole anime Punishers back in the day, so he was already turned off anime, and so a friend of his like, "Oh, just try this manga, you might like it." He's like, "Oh, this stuff, can you just not?" He's like, "Look, dude, just here's the collection, have a look, like here's my cover stuff. It's like, I recommend you have like this, and this. Just have a read. If you don't like them, you don't like them." He's like, "Oh, okay." And so it's like, and now I am fixated on this one particular one. It's about golf. I don't like golf. I don't play golf. Golf is boring. But the characters and everything in this is so engaging. I've turned to my friend and gone, "Is there more?" He's like, "Well, it's not out yet." It's like, "When's it out? I want the next one."
I mean, we talked about Josh Howard previously and his store. I've got it here for those interested. I mean, I'll scroll down slowly, but obviously you've got Black Harvest Remastered, the different covers. As you can see, carrying on, Desert 17, the other books that he's done. T-Bird and Throttle right here. collected edition versus the Ape Men variant covers, which are totally cool. I especially like the black and white ones. But of course, as you can see, a lot of them are sold out because, I mean, look at this, the compendium. I'd love to have seen this gone. And fair play to him as well. So
Yeah, but
these
also
are
use this as a point of knowing what sells well, so he can then do once he's sold out, he can eventually do reprints.
yeah, I hope he
Because the
does.
ones he knows are selling well, he can do reprints.
Because I'd love to have read this, but as you can see, it's obviously sold out, which is a damn shame. But the artwork alone makes me want to take a look at it. I mean, especially T-Bird and Throttle, because I love this art. So yeah, this is going to be a guy that I know I'm going to invest money in the future because, like I said, it just looks good. At least I know that I'll get it, and in a reasonable time frame as well. So these are the people you really want to support in my mind.
Yeah, and this also proves how bad the real industry is. The fact that he's ex industry, and he's doing better outside of it.
Yeah.
Because his creativity is allowed to he's allowed to flex his creativity, test the waters, and do what he wants, and figure out what works. And he has figured out what works.
Yeah.
Thus, he's selling.
Yeah.
Versus the mainstream shit where they're basically constantly like, we're going to tell you what you like. We're going to tell you what you want to read. And why the fuck aren't you reading it, you plebs?
Yeah, absolutely. So people like him,
like constant case of, oh, you like this character, right? You really love them. Here's me cocking my leg in the air, taking a combination of piss and shit all over it onto pieces of paper with your favorite character on it, and you're going to buy it, you little pleb.
And in the case of Harley Quinn, literally, it's like, here, we're going to take a long brap on it. And I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah. So I hope there's some decent mainstream releases around the corner that we can actually celebrate going on in the year. But at the moment, I just don't see it happening. And even if it did, I can't say as I seriously care.
Exactly, the apathy.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll get something more substantial to talk about release-wise. But for now, we'll leave it there. Again, I don't want to be in that apathetic situation, but as you said, that's all there is at the moment. So I quietly hope that things improve, but I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, like I keep saying, it's just like the opposite of hate isn't love, and vice versa. It's apathy.
Yeah. So thanks to everyone for listening. Sorry it ended on quite a bit of a downer, but I think it's kind of the way the industry is at the moment. We'll see you again at the end of the year, so hopefully see some good stuff come out. But for now, thanks very much to Peter and Wombat for joining me. And we'll see you at the end of the year. But take care for now.